Hi ladies, Dionysia here. I wanted to take some time out with you today to share some thoughts I have as we head into this weekend. I'm speaking to you on Friday, the day of Venus in the Hermetic calendar, and I am thinking a lot about the energies of this weekend. I'm imagining that a lot of you are feeling it in big ways. I know I have been. Lots of deep work to do, lots of things bubbling to the surface to tend to, and also for me personally, lots of big, amazing, beautiful dream time. So I've been thinking a lot about all of this energy and what it actually means for us and what we're moving into. And I do believe that what we're moving into ultimately, and it's going to take some time, because anytime that we've got big transits happening, especially with outer planets like the Neptune transit happening on Sunday, then, you know, those are big movements that take time. They're big planets. But in terms of the energy and how we can be with it, you know, tomorrow, Saturday of this weekend, we have this second eclipse in this spring's eclipse portal. So we're sort of closing that portal, and we've been feeling a lot of that since the last eclipse that was 2 weeks ago. And eclipses are just that. They're eclipsing something. They're taking us, you know, they're blocking out something and putting our attention on something else. And, you know, I think the energies of this weekend are about being very internal and introverted. And I think a lot of us have been feeling that way. And just being with whatever it is that actually is coming up for you. And if you're a person who's super, super busy and doesn't really have a lot of time to paying attention to what's coming up for you, maybe you could carve out some time for yourself this weekend to do so, because these are big, important, once in a lifetime occurrences, actually, what's happening this weekend. So we've got that eclipse tomorrow, and there are several, you know, planetary things happening with that, alignments happening with that. And again, I encourage you to find an astrologer that you like to listen to and hear in depth more about that. My favorite astrologers that I listen to ongoingly are Kai Pacha with the weekly Paleo Report and New Paradigm Astrology, and I love listening to Molly McCord, who's an intuitive astrologer, and both of them post videos consistently on YouTube that you can see. But just to say that it's a bigger configuration than what I'm going to be talking about in this video, but from an energy standpoint and what it means for us as women and our feminine, I really wanted to speak to this sort of internal alchemy piece. And so we have that eclipse tomorrow. That's the internal piece. There's a Venus alignment with it and Aries energy with it. So it has different configurations, but basically I feel like it gives us an opportunity to really go inside and see, where are we in our path? Where are we with our healing? Where are we with, you know, our manifestations and our desires? Because on Sunday, and this is the biggie, Neptune leaves Pisces and goes into Aries. And Pisces is the closing of the zodiac wheel, and Aries is the opening of the annual zodiac wheel. So that means big endings, big beginnings. And I've been talking about that for several weeks now, and what you can be doing with that energy. And, you know, this Neptune transit, we're going to go into it and out of it and into it and out of it with retrogrades throughout the next year. But right now, in this moment, is the first official movement for the first time, and I think it's 162 years. Like, none of us are going to see this again in our lifetimes. And I think it's really important to pay attention to those kinds of passages of energy. And what Neptune is calling to, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, it's the higher octave of love. And I think our love for ourselves and also our love for our lives. And there's a big energy in it that's about creation. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was about how we be with that internal place and what's happening there and what more needs to be looked at there. And then how do we create coming out of that place? And I think one of the things that we're going to be seeing coming for a lot of us as women is this new light of the spiritual woman. With those of us who are being intentional, and I think a lot of people are going to move into it, whether they're really grokking it or clocking it right now or not, because it is the energy, it is the template of energy of the collective field. It is happening whether we're paying attention to it or not. And I think when we pay attention to it, to whatever degree you feel called to give it your attention, then we can be in a becoming of ourselves. We can continue our growth path in a very particular and intentional kind of way. And I think for most of us as spiritual women, that's really what we're about, right? That's what we want. We want to keep growing. We want to grow into more of ourselves. And we want to build our relationships from that place. We want to experience our sexuality from that place. We want to be in our feminine embodiment, our feminine radiance, from a very real, genuine, authentic, healed place. And to do that requires us to look at any of the things that are yet unhealed, any of the things that haven't been tended to yet, or that we've been tending to for some time and still need more tending. For me personally, I'll share with you that I have had some pretty deep, I call them subterranean, intense childhood pieces coming up in the past couple of weeks. And not necessarily new, but bits, fragments of memory connected to things I already knew about that I hadn't thought about before and connected them. Specifically, I had a memory from when I was about 9 or 10 and some things that happened at school with another girl and with a collective of my classmates that were very painful for me. I felt really embarrassed and humiliated by what happened and what transpired. And at that time, I made beliefs about myself. I created ideas about myself that I now recognize were not true then and are not true now. But to tend to that and be with that 9-year-old self and love her very, very intentionally and speak to her very, very clearly, and then take action in my life now that helps to sort of help her see herself in a new way has been very powerful for me. And you know, this is my work. This is what I do a lot in one-on-one client work and in group coaching settings, such that I guess basically what I'm trying to say is that I do walk my talk. Like I teach from my own life experiences and what I've had to learn about how to grow and how to heal and how to become more of who I came here to be. And so those are the kinds of things that I bring into my work with women, and also the things that I want to be sharing with you in these offerings here. So, you know, having done that bit of work and then realizing that it was connected to a part of my path, and I think I spoke about this in last week's video or sometime in the past couple of weeks about, you know, I think there are a lot of us women who are on a personal growth path in my generation of women and, you know, around that era of time, that we really came here to heal ancestral patterning, heal ancestral lineage. And that has definitely been true for me. And a lot in my life, you know, I started learning that very, very early on in my healing journey. And I have been very resistant to that at different times of my life. And then I've had other times in my life where I thought, well, okay, if I can do that, then great, let me do that. And especially such that I can create a different path for my daughter to walk. But in these past couple of weeks, just a few days ago, I had another piece of that come forward, and I recognized this part of myself that was really angry and resistant and like, well, why? Why do I have to be the one doing that? Why can't I just go live my life independently of, you know, the lineage that I've come from? And the answer that came to me clear as a bell was because I can. So, you know, a big part of my journey along the way has been understanding and realizing and connecting with my star being lineage and who I came here to be as a soul and what my incarnations have been like. And so then once I had this realization of like, oh, well, the reason I chose to do that, because I was really sort of like stomping around like, well, why would I choose that? Well, because I can, because I'm powerful enough to do that. And once I got that, I thought, well, okay, then let's do it. Let me do it. Let me heal that. Let me clear it as far back as I can. Let me clear it forward for any future family members. And it made me think a lot too about where I might have incarnated in this family line before this lifetime, and or others in the family line who were doing similar things, who cleared something for me, such that what I came here to do in this lifetime is supported and I have an easier time of it because somebody in my family lineage, another woman, another powerful woman, decided to do some version of this kind of healing and clearing in her lifetime in the lineage. So I've been thinking a lot lately about ancestral lines and ancestral lineage, and I just wanted to offer that to you today for any of you who feel that that's a part of your life this lifetime, you know, regardless of whether it's a sort of profound piece like it is for me, or if it's simply something more that you notice in the family that you've created, or in the way you've chosen to live your life differently than, for example, your mother or your grandmother did. But that there's a way that we can also turn towards that lineage and thank them for all of what we've inherited, the hardships that help us grow and the goodness that help us be who we are, right? And that's not to deny any kind of painful childhood experiences, but more to look at it from a bigger soul picture viewpoint. And one of the most beautiful ways that I've ever done that in ceremony that I'll share with you now, in case you'd like to take this into your weekend, if this is resonating for you or a part of your journey, is to be in a ceremonial space and imagine that my mother has her hands on my back and her mother on her back and her mother and her mother, and that there's a line of women ancestors behind me who are saying, yeah, go further than we did, go further than we could, take this energy, take this light, go. And that might be bloodline relatives, or it might be priestess lineage, or it might be healer lineage, or whatever your lineage might be, whatever might speak to you in that way. But just to imagine all of those women at your back for as far back as you can imagine, and know that you actually didn't come here to walk this journey alone. We're meant to be interconnected with people in our field for sure, but also we have a long line of women behind us. So I hope that's something that's supportive for you. And the other thing that I was thinking to share with you today about this Neptunian energy is that there's a lot of creation energy in it. Like, what do you want to create? What do you want your life to be? And it might be that the life you've lived up to this point is ending in big ways, or, you know, the ways you identified yourself, or could be relationships, could be jobs, could be careers. Like, a lot of that might be ending for you. And those things can be really challenging, right, to deal with. But also it means that something else is beginning. And I'd love to encourage you to really spend some time with yourself, especially on Sunday, with this big Neptune movement. And after we've gone through this eclipse portal, like, what would you want to create your life to be? If you could imagine it in any way that you would want it, for what you're doing in your day-to-day, what you do in your career, who do you serve, what's your family like, both your, you know, family you've created and your family that you come from. What are those relationships like? What's your romantic relationships like? What's your sexuality and embodiment like? Like, who do you want to be as a woman? What can you imagine for yourself? And one of the best ways, I think, to do that is to visit that little girl self. Like, when you were a girl, what did you most love to do? What was the most fun thing for you? For me, I can remember vividly being 7 and lining all of my baby dolls up in their little chairs and things that I had set up for them and teaching them from my little chalkboard. Yes, I began teaching girls, women, from a very young age in this lifetime. I also was an avid dancer. I danced to everything all the time. It was when I felt most joyful in my body. And so those are the kinds of things that really light me up still. And I've been fortunate in my lifetime that I've had those threads move through for a very long time. And even though that's true, I'm looking right now at, what is the next expression of that? What is the next iteration of that? Where's the bigger expression of that for me? How can I get bigger as teacher, as dancer, as priestess, these things that I know I came in to be, even though I've already been living them, looking at what is their next expression, as well as other aspects of my life, surely. But my point here is that if you're moving into this creation energy, not really knowing what you would create, then look to those times. Look to the times in your life when you have felt most alive, most in your joy, and see what you can harvest from that as seeds of what you're planting to grow into you as a new woman. And you might be a woman who knows a lot about who you want to be and what you would ideally be living if you could. Focus on that. Be with that. Like, really spend some time this weekend in whatever way is fulfilling for you that way, whether that's, you know, walking in nature or taking a swim. Being in a body of water this weekend is a really good idea. Journaling, create a ritual, whatever works for you to really feel like you're connecting to this energy that I'm describing and its movement. You know, I recently had somebody suggest to me to make a mind movie, and I did, and it's powerful and brilliant and wonderful. I went into Canva and I found videos that sort of speak to the energies of what I'm looking to create in my life, and I made a 3-minute video out of it set to a piece of meaningful music that's meaningful to me, and I watch it every day and it just lights me up. So maybe there's a mind movie in that for you. Whatever that is for you, this is just my heartfelt offering to you that you take some time this weekend to tune into these energies and really go in and be with yourself and start imagining who is the new spiritual woman of the new light that you can be, that would light you up, that you would be excited to be in the becoming of. And again, if there are painful endings happening for you right now or painful pieces, I do encourage you to really tend to those, be gentle with yourself, tune as much as you can to the energy of love, you know, Venusian kind of love, the love of Venus, our romantic love, and that for sure, and our self-love, but also Neptunian kind of love, the cosmic love, the Christ consciousness love, the bigger love of humanity, of the planet, of Earth, of nature, and really taking yourself there as much as you can this weekend in whatever ways really work for you. And this is not a one and done kind of thing. Like I said, we're going to go in and out of this energy over the next year for sure. And all of it is meant to set a new template for us. So that's really the encouragement to you here, is to really be tuning into what is that new template for you. I personally am excited to see that. I'm excited for my own journey for sure, and all the changes that are happening in my world, but I'm excited for our world at large. Like, as we as women keep getting bigger and keep embodying more light and keep becoming more radiant and more magnetic and more in our feminine, what will our world become? That's an exciting thing to think about. So I hope you can share in that excitement with me. If any of these things are resonating for you or moving through you, I'd love for you to share that with me in the comments below. I'd love to be connected with you in that way. And if you find value in these videos, if you could just take a second to click that subscribe button, you'll be the first to get new videos, and also you'll be spreading the word for other women to come in touch with deep feminine wisdom teachings, women who maybe have not encountered them before, so that we keep spreading the light and spreading the light and growing the light and growing the light. You can do that really quickly and easily just by clicking that subscribe button, and I'll look forward to being with you again next week. And I wish you a magical, beautiful, deep, transformative weekend playing in these energies and being with these energies. And I'm delighted to be with you in the journey. So until next time, big love to you from my heart to yours. Blessed be.